John 15, it says, I am the vine and my Father is the vine dresser. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he takes away, and every branch that bears fruit, he prunes it so that it may bear more fruit. It's kind of a violent thing. You're chopping off a lot of good growth for the sake of future growth.
My name is Cristopher Parkin. This is my wife, Kristina. We go by Toph and Krina, respectively. We met 15 years ago, and I met at a post-college small group at Faith. And we have 3 children, James, Penelope, and Charles.
In 2021, I was pregnant with our 3rd child. My deliveries have been simple to this point. And when it came time to deliver him, it ended up not being easy. So I ended up having an unexpected C-section. And that was really scary. And I was so happy when he was born, and I thought, this is gonna be our story. Wow, what a traumatic thing we just went through. Little did I know, a few hours later, they would be taking him up to the NICU. So Charlie was up in the NICU overnight, and we were sleeping, and around 5 a.m. a nurse came, and she was very nervous. She said, so I'm here to tell you about Charlie, and she told us his esophagus does not connect to his stomach, and my initial thought was, therefore he's going to die, because you can't live without being able to eat.
Just unbelievable shock and pushing it away or down or thinking, wait, no, this is the story? We just endured this other big thing with her C-section, and now we have this other thing? Like as if climbing the hill only to see a bigger hill after you've summited it. So
then a few hours later, we met with the surgeon, and he explained to us the surgery that he was going to do. He had that surgery at 2 days old, and it was successful, and they were able to connect his esophagus. So when Charlie came home, we were essentially on alert all the time, and we had feeding therapists and physical therapists in our house every week. When he was about 7 months old, when we started introducing solid foods, he regurgitated some of his food, and I was holding him, and he was starting to gasp for breath, and it was very harsh, and the gasping got weaker and weaker, and he was bright red, and then he was white, and then he was purple and motionless, and in my mind, he's dead. I did about 4 or 5 rounds of CPR on Charlie. He started opening his eyes. Everything came out. He opened his eyes, and then we went down to the hospital. And I remember sitting in the ambulance while we were zooming down, thinking, God, who are you? Almost like this unfamiliarity, like your best friend just did something you would never expect. And I was like, who are you? What did you just do? About 5 or 6 months later, he had a cold and was starting to pass out due to lack of being able to oxygenate. And we called the ambulance again, and we started to think, is this a regular thing? Are we going to be dealing with this? And at first, every cold put him.
Yeah.
It
was kind of a guarantee. We essentially had this thing of, if Charlie gets a cold, we're going to the hospital.
Yeah, and the people in our life knew, hey, we might be in the hospital. Charlie has a cold. Please, pray that he can get through this. So then, January of 2024, that was the last overnight stay at the hospital. It's really incredible to look back and see how God prepared us for this moment. The night that before we went in, we were still doing our growth group on video, and we finished Quieting a Noisy Soul. And we were going through that during COVID. God was preparing our minds with truth about who He is, His love for us, so His wisdom, His sovereignty, and His promise to give us the grace that we will need for any circumstance. And so The first thing that I thought after Charlie's gonna die is, God doesn't say oops. There isn't a plan B. This is plan A. And I don't feel good, but this is what I know is true. And I mean, I felt awful. Like I was gonna throw up, or I was so scared. But I was like, this is what I have to think about. I can't even let myself think about other things. We learned all this stuff in our head, and then God was like, time to put it into practice.
A big thing for us both, but certainly I would say personally too, is relearning how to have joy and rejoice in the things God has done. And it doesn't mean it's gonna be easy. It probably will get harder at times, but again, that's seeing those little pockets of faithfulness, like we see evidence of that from God, and why should I not trust Him?
Something very clear to me now is how anxious I was, how controlling I was, how things had to go a certain way. I had to make the perfect decision. I had to, I don't know, please people. I don't know who I was trying to please, but I was trying to figure out the right thing to do so often. And through Charlie's life, I have really thrown off a lot of those things. I have so much more peace in my life in the day-to-day because I'm trusting in God and what He says. And I just know Him better. I know God better. I can look back in these times of His faithfulness to us. Here's how God provided here, and here's what God did in this. And I've just sort of been building this storehouse of God's faithfulness to us.